I absolutely love that intro music. I love it. So hope you guys like it as well. Welcome to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio. We're excited to be here on our live. We're live on Facebook and in our Facebook page, our Facebook group, and on YouTube. So really excited to be live. If you aren't joining us live on a regular basis, please make an effort to be on Wednesday nights at 6 Mountain Time. We're live on those platforms I just mentioned. We'd love to have you make comments and interact with us. This episode, we're going to talk a lot about a recap of the Be Prepared Expo we just went to over the weekend, and we're excited to kind of share some of our thoughts, feelings, and some of the things that we saw and some of the things that we learned as we were there, and share that with you today. But before we do, just remember to click the link in our description and go to our different links that we have available. The one for sure is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jace Medical, we've been promoting their antibiotic Jace case. And they just announced in the last month or so, Jace Daily, which is the prescriptions and medications that you take for your everyday, for whatever you're dealing with whatever health condition you have, whether it's they have all kinds of things from physical ailments to mental ailments. So just go to jacemedical.com. If you click on the link where it says daily, you enter in your medications, and if it pops up, they have it, and you can buy a year's supply. In fact, I just asked, Jace, I was on the phone with Jace today, and I said, hey, just as an example, what is a year's supply of metformin? And they're like, well, it's about $100. So it doesn't get covered by insurance, but it's worth it because there's no other way you're going to get a year's supply of any of these medications that I'm aware of, that I've ever even heard of. So this is the place to go and get those medications if you need them. Jace Medical. And also, with the way the economy is going, with the things that are happening in the world, it's important to understand how gold and silver can play a role in your portfolio. And we highly recommend that you go and visit ITM Trading. And if you use Prepper Talk Radio's code, and we actually have a page in our link where there's a specific phone number for you to call and set a time to talk with them. It's free. There's no obligation to talk to them and get some education from them. They're going to really do a deep dive, one-on-one conversation with you about why gold and silver is important as a part of your portfolio. So help support the show and get better educated on on God's money, on real money, gold and silver. So without that, with that behind us, let's talk about the Be Prepared Expo and what we took, some of our key takeaways from that. So one of the things I'll say first is I was super excited. Like the highlight for me of the show was to have so many of our listeners come up to the booth and shake our hands, give us hugs, take pictures with us.
That's just weird.
I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was cool to me. Kimberly's on right now. She was there. Utah Mike came. He was there. We got to meet these guys in person. That was a highlight for me. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thanks for being a part of our community, but then also thanks for making the effort to be at the show and come see us in person. That was so cool.
And it was fun to hear what they were getting, like the different things they were focused on. So we had at least 13 different listeners show up. We had a few of you guys hang out for quite a while. That was awesome. And Utah Mike, I'm sorry we didn't give you a big hug. Next time, now that we know you're a hugger, we will make sure we get you a hug. Kim actually hung out for quite a bit on Saturday with us, and told us all the stuff she was learning and the stuff she had fun with. But it was exciting. I love going to these types of events. All things preparedness events, those are my favorite. It's not just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And getting to see some of the vendors that I've known from PrepperCon days, but also just kind of hear what they're doing, what they're working on, to see some other cool things. I mean, Jace was there. Urban Survivors was there. Stan Pruitt with the self-defense training. Fantastic. They were actually teaching you right there in the middle of the event how to, beat up somebody, basically save yourself from an attacker. He also had some courses. There were courses on first aid. There were courses on water purification. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And there was Prep for Life had their freeze dryer there. And I wanted to spend some time at that, but I didn't get enough time. Like, you just don't ever have enough time to go through everything that's there. But I got a flyer, so I can review it.
Yeah, no, I actually talked to the guy and he's like, hey, we'd be happy to come on the show and talk to everybody about what the Prep for Life freeze dryers do and how they're different than the Harvest Rights. In fact, we even talked to Harvest Right because they wanted to come on too and talk about what their freeze dryer does. So I think we may not have all of them on the podcast version of our show, but definitely on our YouTube channel, we're going to have a lot of interviews from some of the folks that were there and that have some products and services we think were cool, and have them come on the YouTube channel. So stay tuned on our YouTube channel for different interviews and shorter clips and stuff like that. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be cool.
So I gotta throw somebody under the bus though, because I wanted them to be there. I didn't see them there. They there on Saturday? The Casual Preppers guys?
No.
Did they show up on Saturday? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Cam and Kobe, they've come to PrepperCon every year and didn't see them there. So sorry, I'm a little disappointed in you guys that you didn't come and see us.
We gave media passes every year at PrepperCon so they could just come and go as they please. And I guess they're a little more casual.
Yeah, they're definitely a little more casual preppers. They're not as serious as we are, so.
Oh man, those guys. They're fun guys. They're fun guys. It was going to be fun to just catch up, but they weren't there. So, oh well. But we met a few guys that were actually putting on their own expos. So there's an expo coming up in a couple different places that they showed up there. There's one coming up in August up in Montana. I mean, not in Montana, down in Arizona.
Oh,
there's another one coming up it was Minnesota. Was that right?
Yeah, there's one in Minnesota.
And he wants to do a couple different shows. That guy could talk. He could talk. He
had some cool stories too.
So he had a lot to talk about. Yeah, his life's funny. But yeah, I mean, it's fun going to these. And we got to see some cool vehicles. Like of course, a 6-wheel drive Jeep's cool, but a 6-wheel drive Dodge with a rocket launcher on top's even cooler.
Yeah, you guys, there's the new Dodge, what they call the T-Rex now. You can go buy it for $100 and something grand. It's just big, lots of horsepower. Stan built the first T-Rex for Dodge, or in cooperation with Dodge. How long ago was that? That was 20 plus years ago.
20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
He had his own TV show on off-roading.
Yep, he's an amazing guy. Definitely love to hang out with Stan.
Awesome.
And that's why I like to go. I like to meet the people like Mike. He's a man after my own heart. That was a lot of fun. So
yeah, he's awesome. And of course, his team was there. Wyatt was there, and everybody else was there. But all in all, there were a few things that I really wanted to see that I didn't get to see. There was one that was a more efficient sleeping bag that was apparently designed off the same type of stuff as Fortress Clothing. So I want to do some research into that. But we also met the owner of Survival Frog, and he hooked us up with some stuff to test out. But I've got a lot of his stuff that I've used over the years, and it's always been pretty good. I've been pretty happy with it. But I'm stoked because they launched a canned meat company with 25-year to 30-year shelf life, and it's not freeze dried. It's ready to eat
as you open it. Yeah,
I'm like, oh yeah, it's heavier, but like really, your pantry's not supposed to go anywhere.
Okay. Well, that's one thing I've decided to focus on this year. I've got my year's worth of food storage, right? I got freeze dried, I got bulk, I've got the canned stuff on the shelves. One of the weaknesses, though, is definitely protein. That's one thing that's a weakness in my preps, and that's. But of course, it's really expensive to get freeze dried meat, like you say. It is extremely expensive. But that's something I wanted to focus on this week and this year, and maybe even learning to can meat as well. But Thrive Life was there as well. They do some pretty amazing freeze-dried products as well, including freeze-dried meat. So I'd be really interested in learning about that non-freeze-dried meat 25-year shelf life thing, because I need to add some. That's a weak spot in my food storage.
We're supposed to be sending us a case to test out.
Ooh,
so
nice.
Stay tuned.
Nice.
We're gonna have a all you can eat until the cans run dry. Maybe we'll do it as a live food test. One of these weekends we'll get together and just throw a fun little video together, and I don't know, we'll do something. But yeah, like there's so many options, but it's like going back to like the freeze dryers. Is that a good purchase to make right now?
Depends.
Absolutely in certain conditions, but also absolutely not in certain conditions. Do you have a 90-day pantry? Don't even consider it, right? If you don't have a 90-day pantry, don't consider a freeze dryer. If you don't cook a lot, also don't consider a freeze dryer. Like, I know people that don't cook at all, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get a freeze dryer to preserve what?"
Yeah, you don't even cook.
The amount of food you could have, canned foods and processed foods that you love so much that you could have got with the money that you used on that freeze dryer. Like, now you're behind where you should have been. But yeah. Anyways,
some of the vendors there that, or at pretty much any expo that I could spend all day with are the solar guys. You guys doing off-grid systems and such, and of course, just like anyone, there's a bunch of solar guys there. I used to do solar back before, and it's just interesting to learn the new technology and try and catch back up to where I'd left off and see where things are at, because I still plan on living off grid, and I will need some type of off grid system that way. So I'm trying to stay on top of that. No, not ready yet to make the jump, or even put solar on my own house here. I don't want to do that. I'm saving it for the off grid house.
I want to do it so bad now that so we were going to move, but now that we're staying, I'm like, do I do it? I'm like,
I've got some faces west perfectly
figured out, but it would be great because here's the cool thing. If I do it myself, it's a lot cheaper. And then I can actually, if I have to relocate, I can go pop off a few panels, throw them in the trailer and go, or buy enough that I have extras in the trailer just ready to go. Like, but yeah, most of the systems you buy anymore, like, they have to be grid tied. They have to meet all these factors, and they don't have. This is the part I don't like. They don't have a battery bank, and a lot of cities won't let you get a battery bank.
There was one guy there that had they had a generator that tied into your house.
Generac.
It was a gas propane. It was a dual fuel. And I thought that was a cool idea, because if the power goes off, you can actually have this thing already set and ready to go, and it will trigger within, I think, 15. The guy was saying 15 or 16 seconds. It triggers
milliseconds.
It just triggers that, and your house comes right back on automatically. I mean, that's going to be a cost. That's going to be an expensive, opportunity. But if you've got the cash flow and that's something you want to have on your house, that was really cool to see that option is available. It's out there.
Yeah, I guess I misspoke there. Is the solar ones can switch over that quickly, but the gas dual fuel do take some time. Power goes out, comes back on. The solar ones can switch over immediately with the right equipment.
So we had a Generac when I worked for Pro Hosting, which is a web hosting company. We had a Generac installed that had a battery bank with it. And so because it had that battery bank, if the power went off, the bank would pull immediately, and the generator would kick on within about 3 seconds. But the battery bank was only good for about 10 minutes. So it'd give you time to get everything else running. And if it wasn't kicking on right away, you can go test it, figure out something. But we were running, I want to say 18 different server banks in that facility. And so having the backup was necessary. And I remember the power went out one time while I was on a call doing tech support, and it's like, poof, but all the systems were still up. Phones were out because that wasn't connected to the Generac. Everything else is good. So I'm like, oh, live chat's still up. Better keep supporting customers that way. But those are fantastic. Like having some kind of backup is great. Like, I know we talked about how bad it is to have a generator and a gas generator in a long-term scenario when we did our conversation last week about the war in Bosnia and how, like, that made you a target real fast, right? That's going to be the same now. It's going to be the same here. Like, I have a gas generator that's good for a little while, but yeah, long-term, it's a bad solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mike's comment here is his solar's portable. And I totally agree. That's what I've built. I've got a portable system. It's obviously has to be smaller because a large system is just not very portable unless it's on a trailer, right? But that's where my plans are right now is to take that portable until I'm filthy rich and can just do whatever the heck I want, right? But another thing that when I'm walking down, and probably a lot of you experience this too, when I'm walking down the aisles at any expo, there's certain booths you just glaze over, right? You don't even look twice at. What would that be? What would you guess? but it still is an important prep. So I'm leading you into somewhere here. What is something you glaze
Snake
over?
oil.
Exactly.
Essential oils.
Essential oils. That's exactly what I was leading you towards, right? Right. You see all these essential oil ones, and you're like, do not talk to me. I don't want to be part of your business. I'm not going to do multi-level, right? And but actually, it is very important. I think we should do a whole show about essential oils, and maybe not just essential oils, but herbs and such, because that's all where it comes from nature. And God put these plants here for a reason. Maybe turning them into an oil isn't always the greatest thing to do, but I think there are some essential oils that are very essential. I guess that's why I call them essential oils, right?
Yeah.
And there's literally hundreds of them, but a lot of them are for aromatherapy. That does, that makes some sense. But some oils, really like oregano, like clover. I think it's clover. Am I right there? Clove. Excuse me.
Okay, yeah.
I had tooth infection. Man, that just made the world of difference.
Oregano. I think
oregano, but I think clove as well. But I mean, there's so much to learn in that world, and so if you want somebody to talk to, go to an essential oils booth. They'll talk all day long, and about everything you can do with oils, and they're absolutely true. And yes, I think some are kind of the snake oil companies, but there's some really good ones out there too. And I think it's an important part of preps is to at least have some of that plugged in to your 72-hour kit, your bug out bag, your go bag, whatever.
So we were our booth last year was right around the corner from Goldbacks, and somehow we got stationed right next to the Goldback
That's
booth
true.
this year.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind because it was kind of cool. Goldbacks, by the way, has just opened up a retail version. So it's called Alpine Gold, and you can go to goldbacks.com. Don't go yet because we haven't got our affiliate link set up yet. So just wait. We're getting it. I talked with the guy at the convention at the Expo about getting our Goldback link set up so we can really promote those a little bit more and get you guys some deals.
So if you're watching this in a recorded version, check below because there might be a link down there.
It might be by the time. Yeah, it might be by the time we get it recorded.
Nudge, nudge.
But it was cool to see some of the things that they're doing. They got 4 states now, and they have 4 in the hopper over the next year and a half. So they're going to double their states. We were talking with a VP, the COO, and he was saying that they just put money down on a new printer to be able to print double the amount of Goldbacks they're going to be able to print. So that's pretty cool. And so they're already behind. Whenever they run off a set of Goldbacks every month, they're already behind. They can't produce enough of them to get them out, which is really good to hear. So they're hoping this new machine will at least get them to the point where they're caught up and maybe have a little bit they're ahead. So we'll see. But that was good news just to hear from them and see what their progress has been over the last year.
So did you guys buy anything there?
So I bought one of the things I bought some ammo. By the way, we've got a connection now with one of the cheapest. I think it's it's called Flash My Brass. Mm-hmm. We're gonna get an affiliate link for them as well soon, so stay tuned for that. If not, check in the link in the description on the recording. But I also bought this thing called a rock pot.
Oh, did you get the rock pot?
Bought one.
Yeah, I did buy one.
Oh, cool.
And what I like about it is it's a portable crock pot. And so there's this, I don't know if you can see on the video here, but there's this
grid.
Yeah, it's
you just keep blending. There you go.
Oh, so there's a disc right here that actually goes into the fire, or it can be put on a stove, or it can be put on a cooker, and the disc builds up the heat and takes in the heat, and then you take the disc and then you put it inside the container, and then you put all the food in the pot, and then you put the pot inside the container and you close it, and it's vacuum sealed. And then that disc that was in the, it's like a ceramic aluminum something or another, that disc goes, heats and slow cooks the food, and you can literally you can put it in your car. You can get the disc and put it on your stove, heat it all up, put it in, and then you can drive to wherever you're going and let the crock pot cook while you're driving. Or you can be on a camp out and you put that in the fire, get that warmed up, put it in your thing, put the food in, the potatoes, the meat, the whatever, close that thing up, and it warms right up and kind of marinates over the course of the hours as you're piking, enjoying the wilderness. Come back and it's ready to go. And it's I thought that was cool. I'm like, I'm going to get one of these because that's a definite no brainer for to have as preps, even because it's not electric. There's no electricity. There's nothing involved with that. As long as you can heat it up with fire and it goes in the fire, you just got to, clean it off. There's a thing that you can, there's a scoop. There's like I don't know what you call it, but like a handle that you can grab it with. So it's not going to burn you.
Right. I definitely thought about that. I've purchased things in the past, like for example, the Go Solar oven, right? That's something I've always wanted. I bought one at PrepperCon and it's been sitting in the box ever since. I have done nothing with it, right? So that's why I hesitated to buy the rock pot. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to actually give the rock pot a try. I think it's awesome. I think it'd be a great prep, but there's so many good things like that I would love to have and just stick on the shelf just for an emergency. But I mean, that's kind of hard to justify sometimes, right? You kind of have to draw the line somewhere. But I did pick up some more seeds.
Me too.
And I focused on. I am short on herbs and on microgreens. So that's some of the seeds I picked up for my greenhouse.
In fact, we're gonna have that lady, Survival Seeds. We're gonna have her probably come on and do another video. So again, stay tuned for that. But that's because rest in peace, Buna, who was our seed gardening expert. She passed away, and so we're kind of like, who can we have come on and talk to us about that as a subject matter expert? And so hopefully she'll come on and help us with that and help you guys know how to really. She was telling me that in her educational process, she actually will teach you how to harvest the seeds. So you plant it, it grows, you can get the fruit, and then you can harvest those seeds to grow for the next year. And that's something that I think is critically important, is that, if you literally have a continuous source of seeds, if you know how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Mike says he gets his Vicks Vapor Rub. That is an important prep. What is the other brand? What's the other brand of the Vicks Vapor Rub? The Mentholatum. That's what we are a Mentholatum family. So we stock up on Mentholatum. That's some good stuff. Rub it on your chest, clears out the sinuses, right?
That's awesome.
So what's funny is like there was like 4 different essential oils companies there. There was supposed to be a 5th, but they kicked her out because she lied on her application. So that's one of the things I did like about Chris and the Be Prepared Expo is they if someone wasn't honest about what they were bringing, they lost their spot. And she was a doTERRA sales rep, and she lied that she wasn't, because she was told if someone else was already there that's doTERRA, she couldn't do it. Right. And I'm like, all right, cool. But it's funny because it's like there's so many different things out there. Like, people can get what they want. You don't need to have duplicates of everything. I mean, obviously duplicates of food and medicines and beans and bullets and band-aids and 1 is none and 2 is 1 when it comes to your rifles and your guns, and 3 is just right. But we had so much fun talking to the podcast that was there. The oh man, what did they call themselves? Basically the Utah Shooter Association has their own podcast. We're gonna be on that one soon. But like, did either of you guys have a chance to talk to the guys over at Citizen Armor?
No, we went over to the booth and nobody was there, so I grabbed the flyer so I could hopefully contact him. But then there's no contact information on the flyer.
So I got to handle one of their plates for their plate carrier, and it was so extraordinarily light. I was just blown away. It's on my must-have list. I didn't buy anything. I had a goal. I wasn't going to buy anything other than food while I was there, and I kept to it. It was very hard not to. There were things like, I'm like, no. I got to finish the house. Like, I've set a rule. I'm not allowed to go buy anything that's prep or anything else other than food storage right now, until I'm done renovating the basement. Once that's done, then I can start buying stuff again. But I'm like, because I wanted that. And I wanted to buy, there's a ton of honey that I'm like, I could buy all this honey. But I'm like, no, hold off. We've got honey. We're okay.
Well, I'm going to try to reach out to that honey guy, that beekeeper. And
I got his contact info. So
Oh, good. Was it okay? Well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get him on and see if he'll do a show with us too,
It'll be a
or at least
sweet show.
yeah.
And to answer, Mike, you asked about where in Arizona. So that event is Chaos on the Colorado River. And that is, if you go to eventbrite.com, you can search it there, but it's at the Anderson Field House is what it says. But I'm trying to find, okay, here we go. Bullhead City, Arizona. So 3663 Bullhead Parkway, Bullhead City, Arizona. And that's going to be August 4th through the 6th. And the cool thing is you can camp on site. They have dry campgrounds. So obviously there's no sewer, no water, no anything. You've got to bring everything in and out that you're going to use with you. But big vacation destination. So if you've got someone who doesn't want to prep, but they want to spend a couple hours at the casinos not too far away, send them over there while you prep.
Yeah. Another cool thing that there was a guy there that talked about a new way of fashioning a rope. It was flat, and they say that makes it a little stronger, and they put it to the test against stronger, poundage ropes that are more the traditional round, tube style. And I got a couple of those to test out and see if those are any good. So that's another product that I saw that was kind of cool that I had never heard of before, kind of innovative, kind of new coming out. And so we got, I'm going to test that out a little bit, see how that goes, and maybe have him on and, or at least a video interview with him on our YouTube channel to see if he can kind of share some questions. So that's going to be, we're going to several pieces of content coming out about different products that are out there that are new and innovative, and see if there's see if it's a fit for what you want to add to your preps. What else do we see when we were there?
Let's see here. Oh, I saw the Cold Stone ice cream. That was great. my favorite Oreo.
You know, that's I got the freezer burnt portion, so I wasn't happy with it.
I noticed. Yeah, you didn't like it.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that's funny. Yeah, Kim, who hung out with us quite a bit, says, I spent more than I should have. And boy, I remember that's for sure. Once you, especially the first couple of these you go to on the expo, prepare to bring some money that you're going to spend. And what was cool is that my brother-in-law loves to buy ammo, and the guy had such a dang good deal on the ammo. I called him up and I said, hey, dude, this is the price for these for this ammo. And he's like, buy me some tube. So I got, several thousand rounds, and between my brother-in-law and I, we're going to split it. And it was kind of
nice.
It was a good deal. But the guy's got a shop in Draper, Utah. And we're going to have him, he's got a website and stuff like that. So we're going to have more information on that as time goes on. So stay tuned for that.
I've seen it. I think at PrepperCon and this expo as well is the electric bikes, right? There seem like they're always there. And, of course I'm all about fitness. I'm not all about fitness, but I'm about fitness. And so I'm actually want a pedal bike, and I have my own bike and I do ride it occasionally, but I think the more I think about it, I think an electric bike would be a good add to your preps if you have the ability to charge it with the solar, off grid with the solar panels and such.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'd actually be pretty good prep is to have something, that will have a good 10 years lithium ion battery, something like that, you can use to scoot into town and get out of town quietly, very quietly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which so I am considering something like that to add to my preps. So just lots of good ideas I get when I go to these things.
So for those of you watching, I'm actually showing the map right now. Utah Mike asks, so it's just south of Vegas, kind of, yeah. So here's Vegas on the map. If we zoom in a little bit, you can see down here is Bullhead City, and Vegas is right here. So it's not that far, but you're just outside of the Mojave National Preserve. You're not far from Laughlin. You've also got some cool stuff. If you go further north in Arizona, you can get to Havasupai Indian Reservation. Havasupai Falls is up there, which is gorgeous. And those guys live pretty remotely, and you can learn some cool stuff up in that area too. But just wanted to show that for those of you guys who are interested. Here's Vegas. Here's where the event's going to be. So down there in Bullhead City, not a big town, but it's close to a lot of cool things. So maybe that'll be your next vacation stop.
Yep.
And Mike, just so you know, I prefer fish sticks to fish tape.
Oh my gosh.
I'm serious.
Fire in the hole.
To fish wire through a conduit or something like that, I prefer to use fish sticks rather than fish tape. if any of you have any idea what that is, I bet Mike does it.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny, dude.
I'd rather use a string and a balloon and a vacuum.
Suck it
Running
through.
conduit. It's pretty dang fast. So, Kim, and I'm ordering more stuff. So she bought a ton of stuff. She's ordering more stuff. Like I kept the list of all the vendors so that I can go back to a few of them and be like, hey man, hook me up. I did get a waterproof bag from Survival Frog. And I did get some of that meat from Survival Frog to test. Talked to the guy that runs Prep SOS. They're a decent website. They've got most of the same stuff that's at the event was there, but they're trying to get some stuff too. Hey, Whited Outdoors, welcome. You made it to a live. Yes, you did, sir.
Welcome.
It's been a while.
There was another booth there that was all about greenhouses and the net zero greenhouse. So we're gonna, I'll probably reach out to them and see if they can want to come talk about what they're doing. There's another gentleman that we met that it was super excited. He's a listener as well, and he had a service about different Faraday types of bags, and he gave us a couple samples of his product, and that's with off-grid EMP protected
Shield
bags.
is called Off-Grid. Off-Grid is the company.
Yeah, Shane is sharing their data blockers so that if you're at a public location, you plug that into the wall and then plug your phone into the thing, and that prevents hackers from getting access to your phone. So that was kind of a cool technology. I think that especially today, as we're being warned against, the next big problem is going to be a cyber attack of some kind. It's important to keep your data as safe as possible, although they track it anyway. Who knows? But at least you're not going to have it hacked from a location like a public location if you have these types of things. And or if there is a EMP of some kind or something coming like that, you could throw your phone in the bag. They have a wallet. They had a keychain bag, and then other larger bags to put like laptops into as well, so that they're pretty robust. That was pretty cool. Another guy I saw was and I got to learn more about this, and I'm definitely going to reach out to him and do an interview with him. But he talks about creating a community where you have to sign a contract to be in the community. And by signing the contract to be in that community, there's certain rules that are pretty open and liberty-minded rules to be a part of the community. But if the government comes in and asks you to do something contrary to the contract you signed, tells you or makes you or tries to force you to do something that's contrary to the contract you signed as a member of the community, you can actually have that community will go and fight legal battles. And there's 100+ years of case law that they have where these contracts have proven to stand up in court, and the government has take a hike, bro, kind of thing. Against these guys. That was
constitutional law and case law, over 100 years of case law, to basically, because we all know we live in maritime admiralty law. Like if you're not paying attention to what's going on, everything in the United States runs off of contract law, which falls under maritime admiralty law, and it's universal commercial code, and that's what the whole world's working off of to strip the free man of his rights. And so to just go, hey, that's not constitutional to the government, they can say, go take a hike, right? They don't care. But this group, it's really cool because it's like it's like a prepaid legal services, like all those other different places you can prepay or monthly pay. Like this, you join this association, and then they're just like, hold my beer, I got this. Ka-whomp on whoever's trying to take your rights.
Yeah, we're definitely stay tuned for that interview, because I think that's going to be cool to learn more about the details of that.
Yeah, big time. That's one that I'm like, because I had a conversation with John over at Turbo Organic, my garden. He was talking about it, and he was like, oh, there's that, it's amazing, but there's also so much more stuff. And I'm like, tell me more. And he's like, oh, when we have time. I'm like, dang it. Like getting into the legal stuff and understanding the legal system and the fraud that it perpetuates on people, and then understanding what rights we can enforce back That's exciting. That's what we need to know more of.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of a fun booth that was there. There was a guy named Terry Carter, and he's a treasure hunter.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So I feel like we can. It would be fun to have him on the show. So if you're anywhere where you can respond or give us some feedback, would you want to hear from a treasure hunter, a real life treasure hunter, the adventures that they're on, and the things that they're doing? If you're somebody who wants to hear that, go to wherever
Besides
we
Shane.
are on social.
Am I chopped liver? What am I? Am I not a treasure hunter?
Shane's a treasure hunter also, but this is the treasure hunter.
Like, he's been on Discovery Channel, so he's official, right?
Creates treasure hunting. Like he will create put a treasure somewhere and give you clues. You've got to follow him, and then you can go find it. And it's like a $25,000 prize, basically, is what it's become.
I think it'd be super cool to have that guy on and talk to him about what he does and how he's treasure hunting. Because who knows, maybe one of you listeners will go and find some amazing treasure somewhere. And if you do, just send us a referral check.
I think he'd get along with Scott really well, because they're both they both like to go squatching. Go looking for Sasquatch. Squatching.
Oh, squatching. I don't like going hunting for squatch. I just like the idea of running into him someday.
No, they're promoting their Moon Lake Gathering in July 24th, 25th, I think. Mm-hmm. That's in my neck of the woods. That's where I belong. Yeah. That's where my place is up there, right? And Altamont, Utah, going up into the different drainages, the Yellowstone, the Moon Lake, the Rock Creek drainage, where there's a lot of Spanish history. We could talk about this for hours. We could do a couple episodes on this. So,
and yes, Shane is very cool too.
Yes.
You can take that down now, Scott.
I wanted to keep it up as long as I could.
Yeah, let Shane know how cool he is. So that was fun. I think I got to talk to him. The guy's got a great, his whole outlook on life too. He's just such a happy, just joyful man. It was just neat to talk to him and tease him back and forth, and he was teasing me. And so it was just like, man, you're the kind of guy that I need to have. People with that attitude. We need more people with your attitude on life and out there and getting it going. So
that was cool. See him on YouTube, Terry Carter. Just search Terry Carter on YouTube. Yeah, got some fun stuff. Like you say, he's done some stuff with Discovery Channel here in Utah. So
yeah, that was really cool. Those are the main.
Those are the highlights, like the big and the small. Like one of the things that I saw that I thought was actually kind of cool was, did you guys see the diesel swapped Jeep?
No,
I did not see it.
It was right at the entrance. So Stan Pruitt of Urban Survivors worked with the company that actually built that thing.
That went up front,
and he convinced them to do a diesel swap and change. Like the whole thing basically was his concept, his idea, to basically make a Jeep worthwhile. In my opinion, he had different words. I don't know that a Jeep is worthwhile in its current. And all of you Jeep lovers out there, you're going to hate me. Having owned a Jeep, I really enjoyed my Jeep Cherokee. It had a 3-inch lift. It was very nimble. It could do a lot of things, but the engine, I had engine and transmission issues all the time. And then I later had a Toyota 4Runner. And honestly, hands down, a much better vehicle. And I know Shane's the same way. He's a Toyota-aholic. Like I had 353,000 miles on it when I had to let it go. My Jeep, I was happy to let it go at 120,000 miles because I was just like, I can't afford the repairs and maintenance on this thing. It was just so much harder to maintain. And I don't see that Jeep's really done anything different.
Except raise the price.
Educate me and maybe tell me something different, but old Jeep, new Jeep, doesn't matter to me. I will pick a Toyota 4Runner every time I can.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going to go rock crawling, then you really need a Jeep, but that's not my thing.
I think
dude, a Razor side-by-side is just as effective, if not better, than a Jeep. I was down in Moab, and I saw guys getting stuck in places with Jeeps. They're like, I don't understand. I could get out of this last year. Well, you guys are wearing the rock down. And this little guy goes in a Razor, and he's like, la, 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 down into it, and comes right back out the other side. And everyone's like, I hate you, man.
No, that's a good bug out vehicle.
yeah, those little side by sides are impressive. And Terry, the guy with the treasure hunting, actually, he's got a couple of those, and he's like, man, these are the best things.
Yeah,
you can go anywhere with them.
We were talking to him outside in the parking lot afterwards, and he was telling us some really cool stories. And so it's just fun to go. That was another cool thing about it is, you not only do you meet these folks, but you get a chance to talk to them, and they tell their story, and they'll tell you some of the coolest things that you're just like, wow, it endears you to them. And so when you call them this next time, you're like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? And you create a relationship that you can't create any other way. And so that was really cool.
So guys, if you're learning anything from this live, if you're learning anything from the podcast, go to as many events on prepping that you can. Prepping, survival, homesteading, anything you can, go get involved. Like there are events, like even if you just go, this is the worst case scenario, go to a home show. You'll learn things that you can do to your home to make your home a little bit more sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them will have things about gardening there, but look at those, especially the spring shows. The fall shows are worthless. The spring shows have good stuff. Hey, there's Wyatt Griffith just joining in. The problem with the razors, they have very small axles, so they tend to break easily, and there isn't enough material to trail repair, but they are good for what they're good for. Thank you for that. Like that's a good point. But as far as like an off-roader, I'm not the most off-road stuff I'm going to be doing is still going to be 4Runner stuff. Like I have a Sequoia right now. I'm looking at 4Runners. I might even drop down to a RAV4 just because I need a daily driver. And everyone makes fun of RAV4s, but it's not that I'm looking for an off-road vehicle. I'm looking for a vehicle that's capable of dirt roads, backwoods trails, and regular roads and highways. And I've never found anything that beats a 4Runner. But as far as rock crawling, 4Runner is not the best vehicle for rock crawling. But some people will say it is, and I don't know how they get to that conclusion. But that's just not my sport. Now, I'm probably going to have Wyatt go tell Stan, and Stan's going to put a bounty out on my head, and they'll both come find me. And well, this could be my last episode, guys. I love you all.
His is a very heavily modified Jeep.
His is sweet. His isn't really a Jeep anymore. His is a Stan Pro special.
Zombie Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with a fake rocket launcher on the top. And
hey, it's real. It's real. Just not real rockets.
Sure. Yeah.
They launch up in the air and they come back down twirling. Didn't you know that? Compressed air shoots them. Yeah, CO2 shoots them up in the air and they come down twirling like
I didn't know they were CO2 capable.
So they're real, but they're not real.
I met a 4-year-old at the event who sat in that for about a half hour, and then he had to tell me a million times how cool it was. And his parents stopped by the booth, and so he and I had a long conversation about how cool that was, and they wanted to do knuckles a million times because every time I'd go, oh, ow, ow, you're so strong. And it reminded me of my little 4-year-old. I was just like, oh my gosh, I miss my kid. I got to go home. And that was only like 2:00. I'm like, can we leave yet? I need to go home. I want to play with my kids. But yeah. Oh man.
Awesome. Well, I think Scott nailed it with the get to any events you can. You're going to meet people there. You're going to make connections with the community. You're going to have your mind opened up to things that you probably may or may not have even thought about that you could do, or that you could skill sets that you could learn. You're going to meet people. I met a guy at the convention that survived the Chilean earthquake, the 8.8 earthquake. And he talked about, it's nice to have all these cool things. It's nice to have all this food storage and all the water storage and the buckets and the knives and all the stuff. He says, but when all of that runs out, what do you do to survive? And I got to talk to him about what he did to survive in that scenario. That's a real live survival story that I got to hear from his own voice. The guy was a Spanish guy from Chile too. And so I got to use my language skills. I got to talk to him in Spanish back, but that was inspiring. It was inspiring to say, you know what, you're right. I can have a ton of cool stuff and buy a bunch of cool stuff, but at the end of the day, it's those skill sets that really survive and really make sure that you're surviving. And not just skill sets, but in the last episode, we talked about our mindsets, and our mindsets are going to really be the key thing that will change everything to help keep us safe and protected. So thank you guys for being on the live. Thanks for participating, making comments. We're Prepper Talk Radio for the ready-minded. where we focus on God, family, and country. And we are super excited to have had you on the show with us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Stay ready-minded and stay prepared.
See you next week.
See you guys.